Yeah, for Stonewall Cable. Sunday job, and then we ended up needing a load of material.
I'm happy to defer.
I didn't know we had assigned seats.
Oh, you? I know, I switched it up today. Keeping everyone on their toes.
I smell a little smoky. I think 1 minute late start is
I don't know.
extenuating
This
circumstances.
is business.
It's true. That's true.
I don't think anything in the RSA is about starting late for a bonfire.
True. That's a good point. Yeah. Maybe. We might let him get off unexcused. I am gonna get
Not this week. I didn't have time. The fans are on, so.
Yeah, yeah.
There's one next to me too, if you want to not be facing me backwards.
Oh, that.
probably my better side.
Whatever you want.
Oh, you cold?
I have been cold all day. I was not yesterday.
Good to see you. Hey, good to see you. Good morning. Or good evening. Yeah, good evening. Things go fast. For sure, for sure.
Well, I didn't take any, wait. Well, here's Neil. Put him on the sidewalk.
You say I'll put him on the sidewalk?
Is it too soon?
Oh boy.
Down in the 30s.
Okay.
It's really supposed to get down to the 30s?
Can you send this down the line?
Matt?
Oh, thank you so much.
I don't know how nobody told you until then. You just,
Ah,
I
it was
don't know
just-
how you did not run into anybody.
No, I didn't hear a thing. But it seems like we're
All good to go.
good to go.
I take it Neil will not be, I take it Neil will not be attending tonight.
You know what, we had session day today too. I managed to get here.
You did. Any cars on fire there?
Well, we had two.
Metaphor.
We had two bills that affect, like ADUs and stuff. And
Ah, huh.
anyway,
Yeah,
show you tomorrow or something.
that makes sense. Yeah, definitely. We try to keep it more exciting here, so you can
You're
be
doing
coming
great.
back.
I was, I had an exciting day in Concord, but in
You did, yeah.
Oh, yeah? Gonna cook.
All day event there.
Oh, yeah? Feeling like,
It's coming to Plymouth next.
excellent.
Weeks.
I'll have to sign up for it.
Yeah, you cannot, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a
Probably
shame.
sneak you in as a guest
It has
speaker,
a
but
cohort for like all the
yeah.
the free cyber events. You have to go to all of them.
I can grab 3 of these. Oh, well.
Probably
Hold on.
The rubber band.
You want that?
Not necessarily. This is a nice rubber band.
It's the cozy corner.
Full table.
We do.
Wow. Where's Neil?
Very funny. All right. It is 6:33 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. We'll begin with a roll call of members. Myself, Molly McCann, I'm here. John Christ,
Present?
Matt Yetton,
Present.
Phil Lamoureux is excused. Neil MacGyver is excused. Tom Newcomb,
Here.
Bill Bolton,
Here.
and I believe we have our alternate select board representative, Zach Tyrell,
Here.
Bradford Puffer, alternate, and Todd Chappell, alternate. So we'll seat Zach Tyrell as a voting member tonight, and we will also seat Bradford Puffer as a voting member tonight. All right, so agenda item number 3, any public comments not related to business already on the agenda? If so, please feel free to come up to the podium and state your name and what your business is. Okay. Item number 4, review of minutes from May 7th, 2026, our planning board work meeting. And just as a reminder to Todd, even though you're not a seated voting member, you are able to act in every other way as an alternate.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as drafted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and I have a piece of further discussion. I'm just trying to find it in my notes. Give me a moment, please. On page 3, paragraph 2, there's a small typo. It says, when asked by whether, and I suggest we just remove the by and just say, when asked whether. And I also think at the start of the section where it's the joint meeting with the Conservation Commission, I think it would be helpful to add a contextualizing sentence about the fact that Joan Turley is responding to the invasive species discussion, in case someone just drops in on that section, so that it's,
Yeah, that's understandable.
Okay.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. We hear an amended motion.
Just, moves that we accept, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I amend my motion to accept Molly's changes.
I'll second that as well.
Thank you. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those who oppose say nay. And any abstentions?
I'm going to abstain.
1 abstention. All right. Agenda item number 5, communications received by the board. Oh. The timing, yeah.
So we do have one communication, and this was in the packet. Just a advisory, really, that the alteration of terrain permit for the new National Guard Readiness Center project was approved. So you may recall it was probably a year ago or so that this came before the board as a exempt from zoning, but still a presentation to the board under governmental uses of land section where, you know, they're still to notify the town select board and zoning board and planning board of proposed development, but they're not required to actually seek site plan approval. So, you know, this is really just to sort of let the board know that they did receive an alteration of terrain permit for that project. The permit is valid through May 1st, 2031, so it doesn't give us too much insight into when they may start the project, but it does show that it's ready to move forward from a state perspective, it seems, as well. And they did present to the planning board, so they did satisfy that requirement in addition.
All right. Thank you. So, moving on to agenda item number 6, applications and public hearings. We, generally speaking, to give everyone the general procedure of how we're going to do this. First, the board will determine the completeness of the application with an internal discussion, and if at any point we need any context from an applicant, I will invite the applicant to come speak to give us that context if needed. Otherwise, it will be an within board discussion. Once we find the application complete or incomplete, we will have any further discussion, and then I will open the public hearing, at which point I will invite the applicant to speak first to the application, and then any other public is welcome to speak also at that time. Then we will either continue the public hearing or close the public hearing and have a findings of fact and decision. So that's the general how we do things with any of these applications. So, beginning with a minor subdivision application from Riverside Landing LLC. This is a continuation of a public hearing on a minor subdivision from Riverside Landing to divide parcel 212046 into 3 lots of 7.26, 1.68, and 34.69 acres. All lots will have frontage on Tenny Mountain Highway and are located in the Industrial Commercial Development District and Agricultural Zoning Districts. So we received this subdivision application in April, and we reviewed it in May. And on May 5th, after we first opened the public hearing and continued it to this current business meeting. Wait, excuse me, I'm confused. Joseph, will you help me with the history?
Yep, so on April 16th, the board accepted this as complete
Okay.
and then continued it to this evening's meeting. And then on May 5th, in the intervening time, the zoning board of adjustment did grant the requested variance for the parking setback.
So first, is there any continued discussion by the board about this application? The public hearing is open as well. Anyone in the audience who wishes to speak about this? Please do so.
I have a question.
Please come up to the microphone and go ahead and ask away.
My name is John Nelson. I live at 815 Tenny Mountain Highway. And I just need some clarification on where this property is at or located.
This is the Riverside Landing Development, which is Market Basket, the New Hampshire Liquor Store,
Okay.
and the hotel.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. It's a good question.
I will say, I did have some questions in my own mind, and I didn't really quite go anywhere, but it was about the process and the fact that this seemed like a very reasonable ask in many ways, which is presumably why it got the variance. And I was just kind of thinking to my own kind of mind about this. As we review our subdivision regulations and potentially even like zoning related to that.
Yep.
I didn't get very far in thinking about this, but like, is there something in there that would allow this sort of thing to be smoother? Whether on the applicant side or our side? 'Cause it does seem reasonable, and again, that's probably why I got the variance. But when we have a cluster of properties like that, I mean, commercial co-location obviously on a single property works, but it does make sense in some ways to also divide it into individual privately owned parcels, or individually owned parcels. And I don't know, so it's not really a question. I was just kind of mulling over for future thinking about our other regulations. If there's anything in there that might even be tweaked to avoid even needing a variance in these sort of circumstances. And the answer might be no. It just kind of was going through my head as I was thinking about what in many ways seems like a reasonable
Right.
ask.
Right. I believe we have a letter from the Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District. I don't know if I see that in my packet in physical form. But it has something to do with ownership agreements that I think is important to review for this. So much paper.
Would you like me to read it?
I would love that.
Sure. So, Jason Randall, the manager of the Water and Sewer District, sent an email which states, as a follow-up to the minor subdivision at parcel 212046, I understand that the applicant has requested a continuance of the hearing. During the hearing on 4/16, applicant has since reached out to the district to discuss the requirements of the district. The district and applicant have come to a mutual agreement on the following conditions of approval. Conditions of approval: utilities, easements, and ownership documentation. This approval is conditioned upon the applicant satisfying the following requirements prior to Plymouth Planning Board endorsement of the subdivision plan. Number 1, declaration amendment. The applicant shall prepare, execute, and record a second amendment to the declaration reflecting the revised lot boundaries and updated ownership responsibilities. Said amendment shall be subject to review and approval by town and PVWSD council prior to execution. Number 2, water and sewer mainline extension agreement. The applicant shall formally amend the existing water and sewer mainline extension agreements to include Demula Supermarkets, Inc., DSM, following its purchase of the property as an owner rather than tenant. The amended agreements shall be executed and recorded to the satisfaction of PVWSD. Number 3, permanent utility easements. A, for all existing and newly constructed utility infrastructure, permanent utility easements shall be established upon completion of construction and shall include rights of access, ingress, and egress for operation, maintenance, repair, and replacement. And B, the applicant shall provide permanent utility easements with a minimum of 20 feet, 10 feet on each side of the center line of the installed water and sewer mains. Easements narrower than this standard may be deemed insufficient due to potential encroachment impacts and shall be avoided unless otherwise approved by the district. Number 4, as-built utility easement record drawings. The applicant shall submit updated and recordable easement record drawings clearly depicting all as-built utility infrastructure, including but not limited to water and sewer facilities, specifically within all common areas and easement areas. Such record drawings shall accurately show the location of utilities in relation to property boundaries and easements and shall be subject to review and approval by the town and district prior to recording. The applicant has shared with me that their team is working to prepare and review drafts of the action items above to share with the town and district.
Great. And that has to do with the fact that it was built as one large piece of infrastructure, and now that all of that solid system is now trying to be divided into 3 parts. And so there needs to be assurance that those 3 parts are going to be shared equitably. So thank you to Plymouth Village Water and Sewer for assuring that happens. Any other discussion from the public or the board?
Just to clarify, the applicant is okay with all those conditions?
Yes, that was a mutually agreed upon.
I mean, I heard that, I just wanted to like double check.
Double check, yeah.
Well, that's what's represented in this letter.
Yeah.
The applicant's here, and if they have, perhaps if they wanted to speak to that, they could, but that is what's stated here.
Does the applicant wish to speak to that?
Sure.
All right.
Good evening. I'm Andy Netta with Verdantis, and I'm here with Mike McGinley, Riverside Landing. So yeah, we're aware of those conditions, and I was actually talking about Will Davis today about preparation of an as-built utility plan. We just got to coordinate with the contractor because we didn't necessarily as-built the utilities ourselves. I think the contractor probably did. I think they're mostly built according to the designs anyway, so I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Great. Good. Any other questions from members of the board? Any other comments from the applicant?
I do have some revised plans. I did get ahead of the staff letter you provided, so I just made a couple updates to the plan. I updated with the showing the zoning designation in the 2 different districts. The zone line basically goes right through the property.
Yes.
And I updated. Fortunately, those 2 zones pretty much have the same dimensional requirements, so I didn't really change anything.
Do you have copies of that?
I do.
Can we see them? Since you took the time to print them, let's look at them.
Try to make the plan a little more left-handed, so it's getting pretty busy.
Yeah. Thank you. It always happens.
Yeah, so the only change I made is I added You'll see right through the middle of well, through the front of the Market Basket store is the limits of the industrial commercial development zone. And I updated note 10 to reflect that there are 2 zones.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much
Thank you.
Gotta figure it out.
for the unveiling and everything. I know it's Unless there's further comment from the public or the board, I'm going to close the public hearing. So it is 6:49, and I have closed the public hearing on this application. Are we ready for findings of fact regarding this application? I think so.
Finding of fact, the subdivided lots would continue to comply with minimum lot size and frontage requirements.
The applicant has received a variance from the ZBA for the parking setbacks.
The subdivision parcels are in 2 zones, agricultural and, industrial commercial. And this is a minor subdivision, and because it creates no more than 3 lots. And all of its frontage is on an existing road, which is Tenny Mountain Highway.
The applicant has mutually agreed with Plymouth Village Water and Sewer on easements and such as stipulated in their letter. That will be included in our conditions if we offer a conditional improvement. Approval.
Approval. Okay. Yeah. I would entertain a motion.
I will also, the plans look complete.
Yes.
With all the required information, including various markers and distances and all, yeah, the standard information we look for.
Yep.
I didn't articulate that very well. So if we make a motion, we have the conditions provided by Plymouth Village Water and Sewer. And are there any others?
I don't believe so, because the applicant has corrected the final site plan
Yep.
to reflect the zones and the 10th note,
That's what I was
which is the
thinking.
only other missing piece from this.
Would there be a requirement that they produce a Mylar?
Yeah,
That's standard, yes.
Yes, it's a standard, yeah.
Yeah, so not a condition.
it can be, but it doesn't really need to be.
Okay, I suppose it could be. I think we had the Mylar.
I don't have one.
You don't have one, okay.
My plotter was giving me some problems at the office.
Classic. Yeah, classic, yeah, all right.
So was Neil's car.
Well, I move we approve this application with the conditions stipulated in the letter with Plymouth Village Water and Sewer.
Dated on May 5th,
Dated on May 5th.
2026.
I'll second that motion.
Give it to Tom, sorry, Brad.
You can get the next one.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And abstentions? All right, congratulations, your subdivision has passed.
Thank you very much. So I can just drop a Mylar off?
Yes.
Whatever recording fees or whatever else as well.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
okay.
Mylar and GCROD recording fees, and then, of course, we'll also need the water and sewer district sign off that their conditions have been met prior to recording.
Prior to recording, the conditions have to be met.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right. take a moment to get reorganized here. The paperwork tonight. We'll move on to our second application, which is a site plan review application for Spear Memorial Hospital. This is a continuation of a completeness review and possible acceptance and public hearing of a site plan review application from Spear Memorial to convert an existing office building on parcel 108-033, which is also 44 Langdon Street, next to the rectory, into a 3-unit multifamily dwelling, as well as a master sign plan to reconfigure signage across the property. So a little bit of history. We saw an application from Spear back in February, and we continued the review of completeness to this meeting to give Spear time to complete the application as necessary. So we are still in the review for completeness portion of this, and no public hearing has been opened as of yet.
Can I ask a question about the public
Please
hearing?
do.
I'm trying to remember back from when we were first talking about this.
Yeah.
And when we said we were not gonna review it, or we're not gonna, determine its completeness.
Yeah.
And what decisions we made about noticing for public hearing, and if this needs to be renoticed, and whether that's happened, if so, or does not need to be renoticed.
Yep, correct. So it did, since that hearing was not opened and it was continued, there was that additional public hearing notice that had to be sent out. So that did happen for this evening. So
Okay.
it is noticed such that the board could open up a public hearing tonight.
Good.
Perfect.
So it looks like we have some updates since February. The applicant went to the zoning board of adjustment meeting and applied for several different items, including a special exception for multifamily dwelling in the civic institutional zoning district, and that was approved. They also needed several variances regarding signs that were, 3 of them were approved. One of them, which was for an internally illuminated main entrance sign facing Highland Street, was denied. So we have some materials from the ZBA as well or some decisions by the ZBA to help us review the master sign plan application. And so we have 2 applications. We have a site plan review application and a master sign plan, which is when an applicant submits a master sign plan, we can, how would we phrase this, Joseph? We can allow for more signs, essentially.
Yeah, so basically a master sign plan application as a part of a site plan review allows the board to approve freestanding signage that does not conform with the standard freestanding signage requirements of the zoning ordinance. So it's a parallel part of or sort of a parallel application that goes along with the site plan that relates specifically
not
to
separate,
sign,
yeah.
the signs that are proposed beyond what's allowed for freestanding.
Okay, so we will review for completeness. And we do have,
Do you have any waivers or anything?
we do have waivers. So if you look at the checklist on the 3rd page of their application, which is towards the back of the packet, that has been provided for us.
Waiver requests.
We do have waiver requests in the application. It looks like the first one is number 11 on the checklist, which is the location type and nature of all existing and proposed exterior lighting. We also have a waiver for number 14, the location of proposed and existing on-site wells, the location, size, and illumination of proposed signs, and the location and copies of existing proposed easements, deeds, restrictions.
I appreciate the requests and the indication of the reason for each request.
Yes, we do have a written narrative that is connected to each waiver request, which is great. Makes things a lot easier. So no lighting change will be happening on the site since the exterior of the building is not changing. Only the interior is changing. There are no existing wells nor proposed wells on the property. And they're asking for a waiver for the signs since there's a separate sign application. And there are no existing easements or covenants.
They look pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah, I would agree. So the site plan review for this application was triggered because it was a change of use from commercial to multifamily residential. And because the multifamily residential is a special exception in this particular zone. So the only thing that's really changing on the site is the insides of the building. But because of that, we do need to assure that the proper requirements for living, like dumpster, crosswalk, and parking, are being met. So I feel good about those waivers.
It's an interesting application because it is all one site, and we're dealing with a change of use on one piece of it, and then a master sign plan, which is
The whole site.
which is not quite even like related to that change of use.
Yeah.
But it's still part of the same site.
Yes.
So. Ultimately, it works. I'm wondering. I know there's a aerial view here that has the location of all the signs.
Yep.
I'm trying to see if they're also on the plan, and I'm not sure that would affect completeness, but it might. Are they on the plan?
I think there's. Oh, interesting.
Installed crosswalks. And the fact is we have information about where they should be, so that could always, if they're not, which I'm not sure, that could always be part of a approval, I suppose.
Joseph, for a master plan for signage, is there language that stipulates that the plan drawing has to be a line drawing like an engineered site plan, or can it be a satellite image like what we see here?
So the master sign plan section is not very detailed in the
That's what I
zoning
thought.
ordinance, so it does not provide any sort of checklist for what needs to be provided. It just sort of says a master sign plan may be used for XYZ, and it may be approved by the planning board as a part of a site plan review. But it basically leaves the discretion to the planning board as far as what to accept as a master sign plan.
May I follow up with that?
Yeah, of course.
So just to clarify, beyond that satellite image, are there indications of the signs on the actual other plans, or no?
On, so the plan set
Regardless
does,
regardless of whether they need them or not, but like.
yeah, so the plan set, are you talking about page C2?
Yeah, I'm on there, yeah, for example, yeah.
So there are a few, if you look on
C2 is a smaller scale.
C3.
Which is not the whole thing.
Correct. There's not a drawing that shows the whole site of that style. There is the
Yeah.
aerial image, which shows the sign locations, and then it has the sign, basically the signs rendered on
Yeah.
C4.1. But C4 and C4.1 are the ones that show the entire site, and then C2 shows a couple of signs that do relate to the parking lot and things like that, specifically around the change of use, and those are shown on the detail sheet C3.
I mean, for me, I would love to actually see the signs on a plan, since our regulations don't stipulate it necessarily. I could probably overlook that, but, and maybe that's an opportunity to be more specific about what we're looking for in our regulations.
I think that's what that means, yes.
Yeah, so,
I mean, I think because the regulations are not specific, this aerial or this satellite image, which is essentially in plan view, does properly indicate where the sites are going to go. And we do have a detailed table telling us what the signs, say, and their dimensions. It's quite thorough, actually.
so I'm willing to say this is complete. I'm not making a motion yet, but I'm leaving open the discussion, I guess. Does anybody disagree?
I don't see anything lacking.
Okay, I move we accept this application as complete.
Who's next on line for a second?
I'll second that one.
We have
I'll second that one.
We have a motion and a second. We'll give it to Brad. And any other discussion? So those who are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions. All right, so this application has been found complete. Any further discussion before I open public hearing? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Bill?
So this is probably unrelated to the plan, but a few years ago, I'm on the Plymouth River Local Advisory Committee, and there was concern about the sand shed that was behind the building of the house. And, you know, we were concerned because, you know, within, I don't know, 20 feet or something like that, there was a wetland. And there was a dying tree, and we just figured that it would be best to either move the sand shed or assure that there's no runoff, because there seemed to be like a wide open, you know, door in the front, and, you know, there was runoff around there, but
Okay.
maybe it's unrelated, but, you know, it'd be kind of nice to take advantage of maybe cleaning that up at this point. Maybe it already has been, actually, but I don't think it has.
Okay. Did you have something to say?
I was gonna say, I appreciate the diligence of coming back to us with the extra
Yeah.
information, and
Yeah, I do too. All right, it's 7:06. I will open the public hearing. If the applicant is here and would like to comment or speak to this application, please do so now.
Thank you very much. I'm Jim Bouchard. I'm with the Turner Group. We're the ones that prepared this. And listening to you, I feel a little bit better because we were in the same quandary on a lot of this because it's a unique, whereas a large parcel and you're only dealing with this, and it's changed voluntary mergers. And Joseph, to be honest with you, has been a godsend. He's helped us through this, so our kudos to him. The applicant, Spear Memorial Hospital, is looking to take the 44 Langdon Street parcel and redevelop it. We did do a quick little presentation, but I don't think it's probably necessary at this point. The 44 Langdon Street started out as a circa 1900 building, and at that time it housed 2 units of housing. It got a variance to go to a single unit of housing and 1 office, then it got a variance to go to 2 units of office space. And now Spear is looking to come back and say, we'd like to go back to its original intent of residential housing, but in this case, 3 units of smaller housing to serve as housing for contract health workers coming in, and also the potentiality of health workers being retained or being brought in that are looking to find a place to live in Plymouth. So it's basically going to be short-term transit type residential for Spear Memorial Hospital, and not tenant at will, so to speak. So the other thing that we worked through was, based on the regulations, you need 1 parking spot for each unit, 3 parking spots, but we also provided a handicap spot. There is an existing handicap ramp to the building that is going to be retained, and 1 unit is going to be designated for handicap use. And so we provided for that, and a crosswalk to get across the entrance to the parking lot. Essentially, from everything else, The building stays structurally same. There will be a few window renovations, few window changes, updating for that based on the internal layout of the building that is to come, but everything else remains to be the same. So that's essentially what we've done. Relative to solid waste, we've located a solid waste facility to the back of the unit alongside the parking area, so it's accessible by waste haulers to get in and get it. It is also intended to be chain link fence with and double gated, so it's secured and be on a gravel pad. So that's where the solid waste component is. There is no signage directly related to 44 Langdon Street that's being proposed for this project. It's going to exist as it is. The exterior lighting for the building, we have had a discussion with a representative of the architectural firm that may be retained to do this work. They are proposing just to leave everything the existing porch lighting, existing wall mount lighting that is there. It may be replaced with a newer style LED, but there's no external floodlights or anything being proposed for the facility. So that's what we have intended and tried to show to all intents and purposes on there. There's a granite hitching post out front of the building. That's to be preserved, maintained. We're just trying to, I think Spear is trying to say the character is going to stay the same. It's just going to have a revitalized use now for them. I believe it's vacant now, but I'm not 100% positive. Relative to the sign schedule, we do know that there was concern at zoning board for an illuminated sign that announced the main sign for Spear Memorial as you came up Hospital Road. The applicant has worked, Spear has worked with Pocket Signs to have this as a halo lit sign instead of a direct lit sign. Halo lit basically says the letters will be still raised letters. They will be in a brushed aluminum, but then in behind the letters will be lighting, so it becomes like a lit halo around the letter. So it's still visible, highly visible as you drive up, but it's not a glaring in-your-face type sign that you would consider for Walmart or something. Excuse me, no offense to Walmart, but anyway, so.
And that's sign number 3 on here?
Yes.
I think I see on drawing C2 that there are some parking signs, which I
Yes.
think is a good thing.
Yes, we're putting in parking signs. The parking signs basically say that it is reserved for 44 Langdon Street, and then the handicap sign is a handicap sign, and it is reserved also for the use of 44 Langdon Street. We're not requesting policing by the municipality, but at least it identifies that those are, and they're very close to the building. Most of the people that are utilizing this are parking towards the rear so they can use the trail that goes up to Spear Memorial that was part of the original application back in 2017 or so for the parking lot.
Yep. Okay.
Is there any concern or issue with that dumpster pad being not on the actual lot, being on the adjacent lot, or is that okay?
If I may, that has actually been all we'd used what was in the current site. These plans are circa from when we did the parking lot design. That has all now been combined. Those individual lot lines are gone now to form one overall parcel for Spear Memorial Hospital, which is the dash 33 now. That originally was dash 030, and then the other one was the parking lot was 029. That's all been Spear did a voluntary.
Actually separate lots.
No, they are not now.
Even though the lines are there.
Even though the lines, we were utilizing old surveys just to try to expedite this for Spear sent from the February meeting, so we could get in before you folks. Yep.
Bill had brought up concerns about the salt shed. Do you have any comments on that?
I have no, to be honest with you, I have not discussed that with the representative of Spear. We didn't know there was a concern for that. But it certainly is, there are some options available. We could look at putting a small landscape-type berm around the backside of it to contain any sediment-laden runoff, I should say. Something like that can be done relatively easy, something that can be maintained easy by Spear. So yes, that could be addressed. And we could show it in a revised plan.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Okay, if we're talking about potential revisions to the plan, the only other, well, I won't say the only other thing, one of the things that is in our site plan review requirements that I'm not currently seeing is specifically a place where snow is going to be put. And I realize that this is a big parking lot, there's probably already a place there, but it's not indicated on.
Okay, that would be, as we understand it, everything is plowed to the back down by the gravel. We will show snow storage down next to the gravel shed.
Okay,
Thank you for bringing that up.
yeah. Snow here. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak during this public hearing on this application from the public? Thank you so much. If so, please come to the microphone. If anyone's online, unmute yourself. Any other questions from members of the board?
You know, just,
Quiet.
I think it's fairly straightforward.
Okay. All right, if there's no other comments, questions, or concerns, I'm going to close the public hearing. It's 7:15, and the public hearing is closed on this. So any further discussion, findings of fact?
I don't have your gavel.
I know I don't have my gavel. I don't need it. It's fine.
There are no changes in any dimensional standards in this application.
Yep.
I think noted that the zoning board of adjustment granted special exception for the multifamily dwelling in the CI zoning district.
Yep. Illumination on the building will remain unchanged. And a solid waste facility has been provided as shown on the plat.
And there will be no exterior alterations to the building.
The applicant has included the master sign plan, including addressing the one denial from the zoning board.
Yep.
The applicant has provided more than adequate parking as set by the zoning.
And also pedestrian safety has been included with the crosswalk. Landscaping is being retained, existing landscaping is being retained and unchanged.
The applicant has verbally agreed to provide a berm for the sand shed.
And will indicate on a revised plan also where snow removal will happen. And in terms of stormwater, the site is remaining unchanged in terms of terrain, so existing stormwater management will be maintained.
There is a request from the Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District to provide a connection permit.
And also a certification of lead safe for New Hampshire RSA 130-A prior to occupancy.
Would that be a condition?
It will be a condition. I'm also stating in the findings of fact.
Okay.
All right.
I just have one question. I know the intent is that this be used for more of a transient, shorter term, not, I don't wanna say short-term housing, but shorter as in, not necessarily long-term transient housing for staff. Is it, that's something that we can put as a condition of approval?
I remember having a conversation with the prior CEO in which it was stipulated that it would be leases of a month or longer. But I don't know if we can actually stipulate that.
And I'm not sure, I mean, assuming it's not short-term rental, which is a different use, which we
Right.
don't
Right,
have
that's what I
allowed
just
right
said.
now.
Right.
I'm not sure we want to put an ongoing condition on what type of dwelling can happen there. If it's like 3 months or 3 years, I'm not sure, as a board member, I'm interested in putting that onus on this property.
Okay, but I also meant not as much in terms of the term but that it limited to their employees.
Oh, okay.
And not necessarily open to the public. Is that something that we would want to,
Not personally, but
okay.
I'm open to other
I
points of
think-
view.
I'm just thinking about different options, whether it's,
Kind of built into the use, multifamily residential, is the stipulation that it will be used as such, since short-term rental is not a permitted use. And so I think we have to, the applicant has to know that that is the expected use of the building
yeah, no, I meant that their intended use is
for
for
staffing.
staffing. But I suppose we don't want it limited to just staffing,
I see.
because that could potentially, because if they don't need it for staffing, then we'd want that to be open
For housing.
for housing.
And I think if
We
we say
want to limit our
nothing,
housing stock by,
and I think if we say nothing, by default, it will be open,
yes,
so.
I
Yep,
agree.
yep. All right,
Would that push it into like a taxable, thing at that point?
Well, that could just trigger a reassessment or something if that
Yeah.
had to happen.
Yep. Just keep in mind.
I
I
think it,
don't know if it would, because it would be like any other not-for-profit or
it's a
non-taxable.
source of revenue for a nonprofit then, at that point.
I feel like
Yeah,
I'm not
it'd be
gonna
similar
wade
to-
into that.
Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah, that's out of our,
yeah.
We address that with, church housing for like priests and ministers. And that if the minister or the priest wants to move off site, then they'd open up the building for anyone. And that came before our committee, Ways and Means, and it was approved. And still remain, property of the church.
Because it's a nonprofit or because it's a religious institution?
Well,
Because there is a difference sometimes, depending on the
they are
law.
definitely, they are
Yeah.
different, yeah. But
because an argument would be made that if you had any tax exempt organization that owned a property and rented it out, then, I mean, for example, Habitat owning the bank, if they rent out that building, how does that?
Well, I'm gonna say tax policy is probably something beyond this board.
No, I agree.
It's interesting, but it's
Yeah.
probably,
Yeah, it's.
I'm not prepared to talk about it
Yeah, no.
personally, yeah. Okay. Any other discussion? Findings of fact? I would entertain a motion.
sure. I move we approve this application with the conditions that they obtain all necessary permitting, most especially from Plymouth Village Water and Sewer, which was for the commercial connection
connection.
permit, that they indicate snow storage, and that they indicate a berm, which will be completed for,
Salt shed.
sand or salt shed, whatever
Yep,
it is.
sand shed is written
Yeah.
as, but.
All right, we have a motion on the floor.
Am I missing anything?
Yeah, the lead safe.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
and
lead safe, and that they have lead safe permit. I guess that could be. Is
certification.
that permitting?
It's a certification of lead safe.
It's kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, lead safe, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's separate from permitting and it's an RSA.
Okay, fair enough.
And it applies to newly created rental units, residential rental units in buildings constructed after, I believe, 1978.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I'll leave my motion as is.
So yes, we have a motion,
I'll second.
and we have a second. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. And any abstentions? Congratulations, the site plan has passed. Okay. Long and winding road. Our third application of the night is for a conditional use permit from Stacy and Jeff Therian. This is an application for a conditional use permit to allow a proposed residential co-location in accordance with section 401.1 of the zoning ordinance to construct 2 additional single-family dwellings on parcel 110-032, which has been merged with parcel 110-033 and is developed with an existing 2-family dwelling. The property is located in the single-family residential zoning district. And so we saw a pre-application informal plan, I guess you could say, of this, I don't even remember when that was, 2 months ago? In March, thank you. And so we are seeing the official application now. So first, let's determine this application as complete, and to be perfectly honest, for me, this is a little bit new. Because we require site plan review for a co-location like this, but it is single family.
Site plan review or conditional use permit?
It's a conditional use permit, but in the language,
Oh, okay.
it says, hold on, let me find it. Maybe I misread it. It's very possible.
If I may, I
Please,
believe,
Avery.
I believe that is specifically when we're talking about the commercial co-location section.
Okay, thank you. All right. So staff has provided the pertinent zoning ordinance section in our memo here for us to help look at this application, and we also have the application itself, which has been completed. So the checklist really is on page 3 of the application. So we're looking for the proposed number of dwelling units and that the lot meets the minimum area requirements, that we have the interior setbacks, access and circulation between buildings. It should meet the life safety minimums determined by the fire department, and I believe we have a note. We don't have any departmental review on this. Is that correct? Because it just meets them. There shall be a landscape buffer along the full-length lot line, and I believe we do have information about that in this application. Or at least I saw one in the digital version.
We also have a photograph of the existing naturally vegetated buffer.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's in the application. There's a photograph of the existing vegetated buffer.
Yes, it is correct that there was no departmental comments on
Okay,
this.
thank you.
So it is blank, but it is also no comments.
So then we need to see that the proposal provides adequate water supply and sewage disposal. There needs to be no more than one curb cut, and the applicant has indicated that there are no new curb cuts. And we'll get into that once we get into the discussion. There needs to be sufficient off-street parking, and this needs to not be an open space residential development. So we have several plans here, existing, proposed, and a proposed utility plan, as well as project details. So,
Look pretty thorough, I think.
yes, I have to agree.
And then providing the stormwater information as well, like even perhaps going a little bit above and beyond.
Above and beyond, indeed.
Pictures seem to be in order.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we accept this application as complete.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion about the completeness of this application?
That's good.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed and abstentions. All right, so it is, lost my phone, 7:30. I will open the public hearing on this. Would you like to come speak to this application, please? All right.
Thank you very much for accepting our application. It's been a long process so far. My name is Jeff Therian. I'm here to represent my family in our new two proposed single-family homes on Warren Street. My wife Stacy and I have owned and managed 35 Warren Street since 1997, and we are now currently living back on the 5 side, so we do live on the property. You all have the 4-page plan in front of you. So what I'd like to do is I will go through each page with you and give you my brief description on each one without hopefully overwhelming you. I guess I'll ask the chair, do you want to blast questions each page, or do you want me to go through everything and go through questions after? However the board wants to handle that, you know.
Anyone have any preference about that kind of procedure?
Certainly, if anyone has any questions at any time, just feel free to ask.
Yeah, okay.
So on the first page, and how I got here, how my family got here. Like I said, we've been at 35 Warren Street since 1997, and back in 2007, we purchased an acre of land to the west of our building, you know, as you drive towards, say, Texas Hill. And to make this whole process work, this year, we merged both properties together. We did our merger form with the town. We merged both properties together that are now under one deed and one owner, which is the requirement from the town. It also gave us the square footage to put the two properties on through the new town rules. The first page is the existing, and it basically shows our duplex that's there, and then the merger of the land. And that's pretty much what the first page does.
Okay.
The better page is page 2. And just to be clear on the labeling of the buildings, so if you're looking at the plan straight on to your right, on the duplex, okay, the far right apartment is 3 Warren Street, which is closer to the Roots doctor's office building, then 5. And then the proposed next building would be 7 Warren, and as you keep going west would be 9 Warren Street, just to keep the orientation correct for where we are. On the setbacks are detailed. Daylight Engineering and Surveying, he did all my plans. He has all the setbacks on there, which is presented on the plan. I think the most important one is the front setback. And the front setback calls for 5 feet 4 inches from the road. And that is based on, in the plans, and it's based on the notes from the staff, is basically the average of what your neighbors are within 300 feet. So after Mario's calculation, the 5 foot 4 inches was the front setback. A lot of woods, obviously, in the back part of the property, so easier for setbacks, but the front one was the most important one. Green space. We are very adamant to keep as much green space on the property as we can. If you look at, obviously, the green space on the plan, we would like to keep as much, or make more lawn than there's obviously there now, and keep as much of the green space as we can and make as much as we can when we place the two properties. Parking. I have 8 spots on our plan, okay? I guess, the new rule is you can have 1 per unit, and then, the 2 with the state, whatever the rule is, I have 8 spots for the 4, call it the 4 units. On the curb cuts. So on the 3 Warren Street side, there's 2 parking spots for the tenants there. That curb cut's been there, forever. Then the 5 side, there's, that curb cut's been there forever. And then on the west side, where the 9 Warren Street building will go, we're basically going to reduce that curb cut by about 80%. And then, as you can see, the 2 parking spots will be on the west side of that property towards 1113 Warren Street, which is my neighbor. The density. I want to say it correctly. So after, like I said, combining both properties, okay, on the density, it was the 10,000 square feet for 1 unit and then 5,000 for additional. Mathematically, it's 25,000, and we have about 58 to 59,000 square feet after the merger of the property. The buffer, we talked a little bit about, you were talking about the buffer. Yes, we will absolutely have a buffer between the 13 Warren Street property, the 3 unit on the west side. There will absolutely be a buffer there, probably bushes or something, but I will not impede with my neighbor. If there's any issues there, I will make sure there's something there that does not impede with their building or their parking lot. Back to the department heads. I met with Kevin Pierce on this a couple of times. I showed him my plan. He was comfortable with everything, with the curb cuts, what was there. There is a fire hydrant across the street from 35 Warren, but Kevin was good with everything. He's going to be obviously more involved in, if this gets approved, than the building permit for the building itself, but he was fine with any trucks going there for any reason. So that is really the 2 proposals. The 2 buildings will be 20 by 40 each. And that's really the second page proposal.
Jeff, is that 20 by 40 single story?
So 9 Warren Street will be basically all first story living with kitchen, bathroom, living room with a lofted bedroom. The building 7 Warren right now, our decision is changing a little bit, where we're probably going to do that one on a slab, which would have a garage below it and then 1 story living above it. So that building changed a little bit since the last I met you. That one I think I might want to put on a slab with a garage underneath. The building 9 Warren Street, we're going to do a 6 foot crawl space with a rat slab, so it's sealed in the floor. And that won't be a full basement, but a 6 foot, if you want to call it 6 foot crawl space. But we decided to do a 6 foot crawl space there with a rat slab to seal it. All of that will have perimeter drains to daylight, and then any building on, with the roof and everything, we're going to have gutters to deflect any water wherever we need to deflect it.
This is just more a curiosity question. On number 7, where you are going to have a garage underneath, is the building isn't going to be raised up very high because of that garage, because the land does fall down. There's a lowering of the terrain.
That one is easier. This one doesn't come as close to the drop as the 9.
Yeah.
So that one won't be close to the You're saying like the hill where it
Where
goes
is
down?
so the garage is gonna be underneath the
Oh, I'm
living?
sorry, the garage would be underneath the living quarters above it.
Yeah, and so will the garage be at grade, thank you.
At grade, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry, yes. Yep. Yeah, the plan in our family leaning towards not having any kind of basement at
Okay.
all. No crawl space, just a slab. You drive into a garage and walk upstairs to your unit.
Okay,
So it would in effect be a two-story, the first story being garage, second story being,
Yes,
yeah, so it's like a raised ranch, basically.
yeah, yep. Okay. Now the fun part, the utilities. I'll start with the easy one. When I met you last, I was really struggling with co-op, and I will say they came and did a field study at the property, and they were awesome. If you look in the west end of the property, when you come down the end of Winter Street, the town owns a little parcel of land there by that stream. That's where my transformer is. So their plan is to tap in from that transformer, and you can see where the pole is across the street from the 9 Warren where it's labeled. They're going to come over from that pole, tie into 9 Warren Street's building. Then the second line will come in for 7 Warren, will wrap around 9 Warren, go underground to 7 Warren. My plan was not good, my first one, and it was very expensive, and they changed it all for the better. And I put in your packet what they did. I have, the easement that I did with them, and they're fully on board for that plan, which turned out to be a lot better and easier than I thought. So that's the power plan for co-op. And each are obviously going to be separately metered.
so UGE is underground electric?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Would both meters be on 9?
No. One would be on 9, one would be on 9, one would be on 7. Yep, separately metered. Yep. Okay, sewer. So 2 years ago, the town ripped apart Warren Street, okay? When you ripped apart Warren Street, Grenice came to me, and when you ripped apart Warren Street, my 3-5 Warren Street sewer line was broken. So being me, I put a 6-inch line into Warren Street and oversized it with cleanouts into my property. So I've talked to Water and Sewer, talked to Jason, talked to Gary, I've talked to our plumber, and everyone agreed that I can tie into my 6-inch line that I did, okay, which I'll redig out. So I'll have a 6-inch line going. It's in the driveway on the 3 side. So I will tie into that with a 6-inch line going to 7 Warren. And then from there, I will branch off to a 4-inch line going to 9 Warren. And all with appropriate inside-outside cleanouts. And that's going to be a pretty big hole. They do require, with how long it is, we'll dig it out, we'll fill it in, we will insulate it. Water and Sewer requires that I insulate it, and obviously they'll inspect it, and I have no problem with that, but it will be an insulated line from end to end. Okay? The water main is just about in the same exact spot in that driveway, and they marked it out for me yesterday. Water main will be a 3/4-inch line. It'll go same way as the sewer line, and again, each building will be separately metered for water and sewer. And then you can see it on the plan how it comes over. The goal for me was, because the town just redid the curbs, put the new storm drains in, and repaved the road, I did not want to disturb the road at all. So I don't have to, according to your department heads. I can do it all on my own with, obviously, their inspections, which we'll be fine with. And, on page 4, it gives us all the information on what I need to do there. So we're lined up to do that as needed.
Great.
So that's the utility, that's basically the big 3 utility plans for the building. And the last page is pretty much the details on setting water and sewer, what I have to do to fill in, insulate, size of water, pitch of the sewer line, things like that. And I guess I will say that's kind of my brief description, and I can certainly answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you for walking through the utilities. That was very helpful.
Okay, yeah, it's been, and I'm going to tell you straight out, the department heads, well, everyone, department heads have been awesome to work with, and they've been great. So, been very helpful, approachable, and they made a difficult process a lot easier for me. to be
Good.
honest.
Good looking plan.
That's great.
Thank you, yeah,
I appreciate the thoroughness and
Yeah.
diligence.
thank you.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Please ask questions.
If you do end up doing garage at grade in number 7 with
Yep.
living quarters up top, where do you foresee the overhead door being? Like on the easterly side, up against the parking spaces? We're not sure yet. or-
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. Not sure yet. I'll say, I guess I'll say it this way. I will make part of the downstairs of the utility room, okay? So the water and sewer, where it ends up, will be a big part of where the garage door will go, because I'll want to have that tied in. Like, I won't want to go another 30 feet across the garage to tie into something. So I want to make sure my utilities are close to the building to tie into a utility room and garage on either side of it. So,
Will one of those
Thank you.
parking spaces essentially become the garage, or you're going to keep all the parking
I'd
spaces?
keep all the
I mean,
parking.
you're exceeding the required number.
yeah,
so-
I'm going to keep the parking. No, that, I wouldn't take away one of those 4 parking spots in the middle.
Okay.
I would still keep them.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Let's see.
I'm glad the co-op was able to work with you and find
Co-op was,
a
that,
way to run that power in.
Co-op was excellent. I complained a little bit about it, to be honest with you, and then they came and they tore my plan. My plan was done, and they tore it apart. And honestly, they saved me thousands of dollars from doing what they did.
Awesome.
And they were great. Yep.
Great.
So it was they were awesome to work with. 2 guys came, and it was great. I also got a $320 book if you ever want to read it.
Wow. So there's a little stipulation here about internal landscaping, providing for orderly separations between dwellings, and 1 or more landscape walkways, providing connectivity through the site. I just have to bring it up because it's in the legislation. So what can you comment on your feelings about the landscaping? I know you've said you have grass here, you're actually
Yep.
reducing the level of impervious surface.
Yep.
Any other kind of internal connectivity that you think is needing to be indicated here, or do you feel confident about this?
Are you saying like that there should be some kind of like walkway between the properties, or is that how, like a sidewalk, or are you saying?
I mean, that could be one way to talk about it. If you feel like that's not necessary for your proposed plan, I think that we as a board can can agree with you, basically.
I'm going to say that these 2 properties that we're presenting today are for my 2 kids, and I don't want to go there. So no, I'm going to keep it as green as I can with as much buffering as I can between them.
I'll ask.
If that answers your question.
Yeah, I'll ask the board then too. Do you feel that does the rest of the board feel that this plan is complying with the kind of internal landscaping as vaguely described in our,
I see it.
In number 3.
in the third?
401-1.
Yeah.
or point 1.
I think it complies with the spirit.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I understand why that 3's in there.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think with the spirit of this co-location, I don't think that fits it in. I
Okay.
think this
We don't need to see shrubs between the 2 small
landscape
homes.
walkways, yeah.
And it simply says orderly separation between the dwellings, and that can be
40-foot
interpreted
hedges.
many different ways.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so sounds like we feel that this is orderly and good. All right. That was my only question.
No, thank you for bringing that up, because I missed that. Because I do think we may, at some point, it's in there for a reason, that we
Yeah.
might see the where it's like, hey, you know what?
Be great to see some
A
arborvitae's
walkway
in
would
here.
be here or
Yeah,
something, yeah. Like, yeah.
Well, you can do something like almost like a cottage court or something with this ordinance, and,
Yeah.
which case you would want walkways.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, if one of these buildings had been set way back in or something, you'd want to make sure there were walkways, but the road itself honestly sort of creates a walkway along these 3 buildings.
One might even say the lawn creates a walkway.
Does as well.
In the summertime, yes, specifically. All right, are there any other comments from the public about this application? If so, please come up. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Very thorough. Anyone online would like to comment on this application? There's been, oh, okay. Can you please state your name?
My name's Eric Pinelli, and it's my wife, Sarah Tarullo.
Hello.
We live at 19 Warren Street, and we got an invitation to this meeting because our property abuts it. And his proposal sounded good. I don't really have any concerns, just more of a few questions. Do these structures, are they considered ADUs, or would they just be separate houses? Or I'm just curious as to that.
This is considered single-family residential units.
Okay. And it's one large parcel that's been split, or it's the inverse?
The inverse of that. It is two parcels that have been unified. or
Okay.
made
And to
one.
clarify, as of a couple of years ago, we've allowed multiple residential units on a single lot with a conditional use permit, which is what we're looking at.
Right, okay. I mean, that's something I've talked with my wife about. Just curious as to the logistics of all that.
And it is distinct from an accessory dwelling unit. It's a different section of the zoning, so there are two different ways of adding a unit, but this is different than the ADU.
Okay,
If you would like to look at the zoning ordinance, it is available as a PDF online. You can literally just Google Plymouth, New Hampshire zoning ordinance. And then the legislation that governs this kind of development is section 401.1.
okay,
It's also right on the town website, if you go to documents and forms.
Want
okay.
some light reading?
All right, I got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, looks like no. All right. Okay, anyone else from the public? Yeah,
What number did they say they were at?
19.
19.
Yeah. All right. Are we in the mood to close the public hearing?
I'm good with that.
Okay. It is 7:51, and I will close the public hearing on this conditional use permit application. Are we ready for findings of fact, or is there further discussion that anyone would like to bring up?
I'm ready for findings of fact.
All right, let's go. So this is a conditional use permit for a lot in single-family residential for co-location of single-family residential units.
Yeah, the unit meets dimensional requirements for the number of units. I mean, the plan meets dimensional requirements for the number of units, especially considering it's on water and sewer.
There are 3 existing curb cuts that will be reduced in size, and we did not have a robust discussion of it, but this legislation does require no more than 1 curb cut. However, I think because they are existing already and they are being reduced by this application, then we can permit that. Does anyone disagree?
They're being made less non-conforming.
Correct.
Yeah.
I feel fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it meets all the criteria set forth in the applicable zoning section.
Okay. Including parking requirements being met. Total impervious surface is going to be reduced by this development as well. The plan labels the buildings as tiny home, and I think that it would be worth stating that tiny home in this case does mean single-family residential home.
Okay.
Since tiny home is not in our ordinance, is the board feeling that we can, does that need to be changed? Or are we okay just calling it a tiny home? Okay.
Actually, can I just ask staff for clarification?
Please ask staff for
Is
clarification.
it okay if they're called tiny homes, as opposed to single-family residences?
Well, technically, from a zoning perspective, they would be single-family residences. I'm not sure that the way they're denoted on the plan
really
is
matter.
a problem here, just because,
These aren't going to the Grafton County.
no, the plan wouldn't need to be recorded, but it would, I mean, technically, tiny home isn't a particular use
Yeah.
that's listed in the zoning ordinance. I think it can be reasonably interpreted, in my opinion, as a description of a single-family home, but that's ultimately the
I'm
board's
good with
call.
that.
On the record, we're interpreting tiny home as single-family home.
I second that one.
Okay. All right. I would entertain a motion. If anyone wants to.
Let someone else take a go at it.
Yeah, you take a break, John.
I'll make a motion to approve the application with the finding of facts that we laid out.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I think we need to make sure that the applicant gets all the necessary permits. The typical condition.
Is there permitting required
Well, I think that the
from a
applicant,
planning board perspective as opposed to like a building construction permitting perspective?
that's a great question. Let me look here.
Well, I think if we say this, any,
I guess you
Just
could say
any of the
any-
necessary permits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that covers
We'll
everything.
trust the applicant will do as required.
they'll need building permits, they might need, but I think they're far enough away from the wetlands.
Yeah,
So are you amending to include all
the necessary
permits?
permits?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I am.
seconded? Okay, we have an amended motion and second. Any further discussion?
Do we need any condition regarding the utilities? Or is that pretty much they're
I
gonna
don't
need to?
think so.
I think that's good. I think it's covered in, that they have a plan for it, and obviously they're gonna
Yes.
need to have the utilities in place.
Yes.
Yeah, and they have that,
Yeah.
you know, the easement prepared, you know, the co-op, and
Yes, they did provide the easement from the
the
co-op.
co-op will not do the work if you do not record that.
I think we're good.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those who oppose, say nay, and abstentions. Congratulations. Look forward to seeing it. Oh, please, come up to the mic and make,
Thank you very much. I just think it's important for the board. You said this was new. I guess, and I'll speak for me, okay? And like I said, the department heads for the town have been awesome to work with. And above and beyond that has been Joseph and Avery. My dumb questions, I always got an answer. I never waited. If I showed up there, I got my questions answered. I think it's something the board should know, that they both have a lot of knowledge. And I would have never made it through this process without them. And I just want to say thank you and don't lose them.
oh, yeah, thank you for acknowledging that.
100%.
Yes, absolutely. We are an extremely fortunate town to have incredibly competent and helpful staff members. So I'm glad that it was helpful for you. So, thank you guys.
Let go to your head.
Don't let it go to your head. You can't leave. All right, so last application of the night, a site plan review application from LP Gas Equipment Incorporated. So we have received an application from HEB Engineers for a site plan review for a fuel storage facility and associated site improvements on a 4.31 acre parcel, which is parcel 213-028, on the north side of Tenny Mountain Highway, owned by LP Gas Equipment Incorporated. This property is in the agricultural zone, and the ZBA continued hearing their case with an additional information at their meeting on 5/5/2026. So they needed to obtain a special exception in order to move forward with their application, and the zoning board of adjustment denied their request for special exception on May 5th. citing the following special exception criteria not being met. The use as developed will not adversely affect the character of the area in which the proposed use will be located. The use will not place excessive or undue burden on town services or facilities, and also that there will be no significant effect resulting from such use upon the public health, safety, and general welfare of the neighborhood in which the use would be located. So there are 3 out of 6 criteria not being met as determined by the zoning board to obtain the special exception. Is there any other kind of really helpful history, Joseph or Avery? That's probably the most pertinent.
I think that
Yeah, definitely.
encapsulates it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's accurate.
I think, in addition to the use requiring a special exception in the agricultural zone, it looks like also they had a proposed fence that was over the 6-foot height limit, and that the applicant withdrew a special exception application for the fence height. So, knowing that this applicant has not received a special exception, but we are still looking at this tonight, we can still look at this application and determine completeness and potentially open a public hearing. We don't have to open a public hearing tonight, but we can, and treat it as a regular application, and knowing that the applicant will need to obtain that special exception in order to move forward, no matter what our decision.
Yep.
Okay, so let's look for completeness first and foremost.
And there is a waiver request, I believe.
Yes, there is. There are a couple not applicables on the checklist, number 13 and 14. 13 being existing waste disposal system.
My understanding is just gonna have a porta potty on site?
I do not know.
That's my understanding of it.
Is that based upon, is that based upon the plans, or?
Just the discussions that I've heard of that they are not having any plumbing facilities.
Okay.
Is that correct, Joseph?
That's also what was represented at the zoning board hearing. Yep. That there would be no plumbing in the
There's
the
no
building.
water or sewer development.
That's what was stated at the zoning board hearing.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about that? I remember we've had this discussion on this board before about the ability to use what is in some ways a seemingly temporary solid waste facility as a permanent solution on a site plan, and that not always meeting our standards.
It's a really good question, and it's so where this one is interesting is that, or interesting is a bad word to use. So this is in effect a driver room and shed. It's not actually a principal use of the lot. So I do think there is some difference here, whereas this is just an accessory use to the primary use.
Okay.
But it is true that there have been some instances where the board has felt that, not proposing sanitary facilities in a structure is not appropriate. And I do think, while there may be code requirements, I'm not sure of the building side of it. From the board's perspective, that has come into play before, though it also does, in some ways, in the past, it's been driven based on the use of the building. For example, a accessory structure that wouldn't reasonably need a sanitary facility wouldn't necessarily be required to, but the board could always discuss that.
Is
I mean,
this,
the question is if it warrants having a permanent facility, that's always gonna be there. Does it warrant having like what is actually built out as a permanent facility as opposed to a permanent, non-permanent facility?
yeah, what is a driver's room?
So I would say, I would probably want to leave more to the applicant to represent how that would be used, but generally, my understanding is that these drivers are not, it's not an office that's staffed around the clock, it's not a retail shop. This would be like a driver makes a delivery and goes into this room and uses a table to fill out their paperwork and things like that.
Okay.
But it's not like an office where there's staff who sit all day. But again, that's my understanding based on the hearing for the zoning board, that the board may want to ask the
Well,
applicant.
as a, like, I don't know, point of order or something, but, in terms of completeness, I'm not
Yeah.
sure if this is an issue so much as a further discussion of whether that really fits our requirements. Because they are addressing the concern in a way. And the question is more about whether it is in a way that is adequate to our regulations as opposed to, I know it was a non-check or whatever on the list, but
What was a non-check?
didn't you say, I can't,
It's an NA.
It's
yeah,
an NA,
not
yeah,
applicable,
not
yeah.
applicable.
And so in that sense, it fits the criteria of completeness, but in a different way, it is being addressed, but it maybe in a way that in a hearing, we wouldn't actually conclude actually meets our, it's a little bit gray, I think.
It is, and I also am noticing that we don't have the rest of the checklist in this application. There, we have page 3, but we don't have page 4. And there are more checklist requirements. So, there's a missing piece.
I mean, the only thing that I mean, there is that, from what we do have. So there's the snow removal, which is the waiver, I believe, right?
Yeah, but that's not a waiver for the application, that's a design waiver, I believe. I need the full checklist.
I'm looking to see if it's in the packet.
I
that
didn't
was
see it in
emailed.
the digital packet either.
It is.
There, it is in the digital
I think
packet?
so.
Oh, look at that, wow. You got the complete one, I didn't. Okay.
I'd say someone to something thing.
I don't know,
For
I'll
that
have to
matter.
get my computer out. Okay, oh, what?
This is the page that we just,
But look, make sure this is the right application.
good point.
That's the Spear application, yeah.
Right.
Would you
So,
like me to screen share from the
that
digital?
would be really great, thank you.
Can do.
My guess as to what's happening was the first edition of the packet we got was missing that, and when I was scrambling to print things out earlier, I probably printed the old version.
Okay,
Because on the digital one in our packet, there's no page 2.
really?
Page 1 and page 3.
Could be a scanning issue too, with just,
Understanding it correctly.
yeah, it could have been an issue with scanning it in if it was a two-sided document
Oh,
scanned
yeah.
in just one side, that's possible. But here I have
For those of us old people who can't read
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, you really, I'm not that old and I need to, and I have glasses and I'm
You can
squinting.
make that smaller.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Head back out of the way.
So we have a not applicable future expansion of sewage and water, okay. Hold on, can you up again? Sorry, thank you. Number 22, elevation of the first floor of all existing proposed buildings. I do not see an elevation in this application. Because, and at first I didn't think there was a building.
Yeah, it's a good question, and
There is a
actually,
building.
actually that is probably worth noting that as, you're correct, I mean, it's not in this packet, but it was in the additional addendum that they sent to the zoning board. So
Oh.
it does exist, and we do have it, but it was not actually part of the site plan. So let me pull that from the zoning
Alright.
board hearing as well, if you wanna look at it.
And
Sure.
just as a further clarification, is the building like a principal building, or is it the equivalent of a shed, or?
They call it a
Right.
driver's room and shed. On the
Is it under the
Yeah, what-
square footage to even require review?
That's a good question.
That's kind of what I'm
Remember when
getting
like the
at, yeah.
co-op put their little shack out there
Uh-huh.
What's it gonna look like?
on the fairgrounds?
That's
So this
exactly-
is 300.
elevation tells us that.
300
Yeah, that's
square
kind of
feet.
where I was going with this, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, exactly, yeah.
Let me pull up the specs on it because it was in the addendum packet that they sent to the zoning board. And again, so it is
What's the
30.
limit on that size?
So
That-
the limit on requiring a building permit is 120 square feet, I believe.
Right.
This is 30 by 10.
This is
so-
30 by 10, so well over
Yes.
that threshold.
Matt, what was the initial, can you repeat the question that you guys?
Yeah, I was wondering, I remember when the co-op put like a little shed for like their fiber optic stuff, and
Oh,
the square footage was so small, they didn't need any review, or
okay.
they pretty much came here as a courtesy, but said,
Hey, we're building a
"That's what we're
shed.
doing, but this is, you know,
Okay, okay,
yeah." I couldn't remember what size that was.
okay.
I think it was very close to the limit.
I think it was.
Where is that shed?
On the old fairgrounds.
Oh, okay. Can you see it from the road?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they put a little bit of vegetation around it, but
There doesn't seem to be any pictures of this as far as what it looks like, or even a drawing of what kind of shape it's gonna be, I think it's a
I mean,
little
an
octagon sort of, but.
An elevation would tell us what it would look like, and I guess that's what
That's it
counts
right
as an
there.
elevation.
This was provided with the
Looks like a house.
zoning
Yeah,
board
yeah.
application. So again, I do want to clarify that it might be something to ask the applicant to really weigh in on, because there may be, if there are any differences between the zoning board addendum packet and the site plan packet, because, you know, they are different applications, but, you know, this is
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the same project, so.
Right, so this isn't really in our application even, okay, yeah.
But it does exist
Yeah.
in something that has been
if
provided.
I may,
Yeah,
I mean, if the applicant is here,
yeah, this is a
I wouldn't
good,
mind hearing some clarification about this.
okay, is the applicant present? Please help give us some context.
Hi, so I'm Aaron Lamar with HEB. Joseph's right with the driver's room. In general, it's going to be unoccupied for the majority of the workday. It's some place for them to stop in and just fill in the paperwork. And then they'll go on another delivery and do whatever else they do throughout their day-to-day with their inspections. Elevation-wise, it's just going to be that one story. That's an AI rendered thing just to give the character of it. The zoning board was questioning how that driver's room is going to fit with the character of the neighborhood. So they were trying to depict that it's just like a normal siding, asphalt roof, nothing too special. It's not exactly what's going to be out there, but it's going to be a small 30 by 10, as plans say, one story, maybe 10 feet tall, at grade, like slab on grade, maybe with some frost walls, nothing too intense about it.
May I ask?
Yes, please.
I mean, this, as was said, it looks kind of like a single-family home.
Yes.
A small home. Is it going to look like a small home, or?
It would, the intent is for it to look generally like that picture. So yes, it's intended to try to fit that neighborhood to address that zoning board's concern. More on that, assuming we get to discussion
Can I
later.
ask one other question while we're kind
Yep.
of going here? We were talking about the, having a bathroom.
Yep.
And why you would choose, or you or the applicant would choose to have a kind of permanently placed, like what is essentially a temporary facility, as opposed to, I guess it would be a little bit more cost to do like a proper septic, but for a permanent, for what is essentially a permanent
Yep.
bathroom area, like why wouldn't you choose to have like septic and a permanent bathroom?
This was an applicant decision, so Eastern decided that based on their typical operations. From my understanding is that because the drivers are there so limited, they end up using publicly available facilities rather than needing something on site. I'm sure if it's the preference of the board, my applicant would be open to providing a septic for the few employees they have there. It'd be a very small system, so it shouldn't be.
It's a difficult question. I'm looking at our site plan review right now to see if there's guidance about, do we need to require there to be a bathroom on this site, basically,
Yeah.
or not?
I mean, it does also speak to the kind of character issues the ZBA was thinking about. Of course, we are not the ZBA.
Right. Well, and in terms of the application requiring an elevation for us to look at, I'm looking for guidance about whether a kind of picture that imagines what it might look like is sufficient, or if we need, a drawing.
I would say on board precedent
Uh-huh,
alone,
okay,
and sometimes the board can be wrong, and new precedent is sometimes good.
okay,
That sometimes with smaller facilities, we've been a little bit looser
Sure.
about a kind of properly architecturally rendered elevation versus something more general.
Yeah, okay,
And this would be on the smaller side.
yep,
On the other hand, we do say we want an elevation.
yes, we do.
Which, this is a sort of kind of elevation of what it might look like, and as opposed to a proper elevation of what it really will look like.
Correct, that's
So
my,
there's a judgment call there.
yeah. It's not, to me, it's not,
Yeah.
Really up to.
it's not really hard and clear, because it is not the main purpose of the site, and it is a small building, but at the same time, it is not technically an elevation.
It doesn't seem very
'Cause
clear.
it is an accessory structure.
Yeah. It's a little bit up to us, I think. to
I'm
decide.
if it's worth anything, I'm sure. I expect this meeting's not getting a decision tonight because of all the zoning stuff. So if it's worth it, I can get an architect on board to bring elevations to any future continuance as well. As gesture of good faith for that regard.
Is the board comfortable in terms of this particular application and thinking about completeness? I mean, what are the boundaries between looking at what was received by the ZBA and what's been received by us in this
I
application?
mean, in some ways, for me at least, if the applicant feels comfortable with the timeline, I mean, basically, if we accept it tonight, of course, right, that starts the clock ticking
Yeah.
on, like, approval, unless we agree mutually to extend that timeline.
Yeah.
And so the more you don't have right up front, the more it's difficult to meet that timeline. And I guess if the applicant felt comfortable knowing that scenario, then I would feel comfortable potentially accepting it as a complete with that assurance of getting something a little bit more specific.
How do you feel?
I think we can get it done for you guys. It's a small building. It shouldn't be too much of an ask for anybody.
And as far as the zoning issues go, in some ways, that's not really in our hands. And
Oh,
we,
yeah.
And we could just, like, potentially, like, even tonight, not that we will, but, like, say, like, conditionally approve, and really, it would still have to get zoning approval,
Yeah.
which it sounds like you might be challenging the decision or something.
We're working through the appeal process for it, so.
Okay.
Because otherwise, it would be a non-issue, of course.
Exactly.
How is the rest of the board feeling about completeness after we've been discussing these kinds of details?
I'm not terribly concerned with the accessory structure.
Okay.
Yeah, other than the lacking elevation, I still think there's a decent amount of detail. for
Absolutely.
that, with the, the ADA ramp, the pavement, the walkways, the surrounds.
Yeah, the rest of the plans are very thorough.
Yeah, all that detail on C1.22 shows us a lot that's going on around that accessory structure.
True. In terms of the ADA ramp and the sidewalk, et cetera.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And we have our lighting plan. Wait, that's grading and drainage. Is there lighting in that? Am I,
Lighting is the next.
thank you. Oh, yes. So, okay. We also have the required landscape plan and details. Construction, we have a lot of information about the illumination they are proposing to use and deeds. Applicant, can you help me find, because these are detailed, I was looking for any soil survey data on any of these plans.
I know it's included in, excuse me, in the drainage report, so I know the drainage plans have them. I believe they'd be on the grading and drainage plan as well.
Okay.
I don't know if a soils legend is on there, so we can cross-reference that, and that can be added as part of a future resubmission too, just so that it's clear, but let's see if yeah, so if you look, for example, right along the top of the bank where that grade starts dropping down towards the Baker River, there's that 36A.
Okay,
We can add a legend to this too, so that we don't have to flip back and forth.
very helpful. Okay, and I have, no, that was the only thing I couldn't find. Thank you.
It was pretty thorough besides this is a.
Oh, yeah.
It really does.
They have done it. Okay.
So I'm going to move we accept the application as complete.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of accepting this application as complete, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, so the application is complete. Is there any other discussion before I open public hearing? Okay, so it's 8:19, and I will open the public hearing. Does the applicant have any further
Yes.
narrative? Okay, we'll start with you.
I want to start with just a little discussion of the lot area because I noticed an issue with the tax maps versus if you just took the overall property boundary. So I just want to clear that up because I believe the application says 4.8 acres. The tax lot says 4.31. Based on the subdivision in 2020 or 2021, that denotes the area from the top of bank to the center line of the river as not counting in the lot area. And I believe that's where the tax map gets that number from, so that's just where that discrepancy is. And then I want to provide a correction to the percent impervious. I believe it says 10. I think who prepared that in my office accidentally combined the two lots that are owned by Eastern Propane there. The actual numbers, if you took the total lot area, that 4.8 is 22.6% impervious.
Where is that written? Sorry.
On the actual site plan application, I believe.
On the application?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then if you took it just per the tax map area, it's 25.1%. So I just want to get that cleared up front so we are all on the same page about that.
So could you please repeat that since I don't know if we were all on that. So this is number 9 in the site information on your application. You're correcting the percentage of impervious surface.
Correct.
It says 10.71%,
Yeah.
and it should be,
Either, depending on how the town views, I assume you want to use the tax map, Joseph, can you? Then it'd be 25.1%.
okay.
Against 4.3 acres?
Yes,
Yep.
So site area is 4.3.
correct.
So regardless, I mean, we're within our regulations. It doesn't matter if getting the correct numbers on the plans. Yeah.
But it's thorough, thank you.
From just an overall project, as Joseph mentioned and your staff report has, we did receive that denial. We're actively appealing and going to get all that information by the June 4th deadline. So
Okay.
outside of that, we also have outstanding permits with DOT for the driveway and the Shoreland Bureau. So that's why I'm expecting we're going to continue because there's a lot of variables and I don't want you guys making a decision before you have final plans. Outside of that, obviously you guys have the plan. It's kind of like a giant cul-de-sac. It's intended to accommodate the WB 67, which is the largest truck that's allowed on New Hampshire roads. This is the size of the actual transport truck that comes to deliver and refuel those bulk storage plants. So it'll be able to accommodate any town vehicle, fire truck, or anything you have in there. We've already discussed that driver's room, but again, it's not really a primary structure. It's going to be empty most of the time that it's there. Drainage is being handled through catch basin and dry wells, and just because this was a big concern during the zoning meetings, there's going to be no risk of contaminants. Propane vaporizes on contact with atmosphere, so propane will never be a spill. Any hydraulic fluid, oil, diesel that spills will be treated with spill kits, and our catch basins are going to be equipped with hooded baffles to make sure that any chemical that does fall in there stays on top and can be vacuumed out rather than going and entering groundwater. The practices have been sized in accordance with DES's alteration of terrain bureau rules, which is in essence what the town of Plymouth requires. Fire safety, I know your staff report notes that the chief has no concerns. I had a phone call with him yesterday. The one addition to that is we're going to add a 10,000 gallon water cistern for use as on-site water supply in the event that they need to fight a fire at the site.
Interesting night for this conversation.
Yes, it is.
Lighting, as you said, you have a vast amount of information about it. All of it's IDA compliant, so International Dark Sky. It's going to be fully encompass the site itself because that's a big security factor for these type of facilities and is typically required by the relevant codes that dictate these. It fully stays on our property, so it's not going to be shedding onto other people. And the intent of a lot of these trees, you'll notice the arborvitaes along that western property line especially, is to screen those abutters so that they don't have to deal with seeing kind of that view, that excess light just by looking over there.
Yep.
Landscaping, as you have seen, is designed to meet the site plan requirements. The trees that are down in that floodplain have been designed to be trees that are capable of being inundated so that in those high flow events, you're not killing the trees off. They're going to survive and continue to grow. I don't know how far you guys want to get into a lot of the conversation that have been had at the zoning. Some of it's probably relevant here. But items like sound, so how loud this facility is, more specifics on security, hours of operation, we can talk about those as you guys see fit. It's going to be serviced through underground utility. There's already an existing underground stub on that side of the road next to the current curb cut. We're not going to maintain that one. DOT likely wouldn't let us maintain that one even if we wanted to. We're not going to take it out because that is the deeded access to 28.1. Water is going to be filled with just like your standard office water tower, so the one that you would like pull a cup down and drink from. Wastewater, obviously we've discussed if the board chooses to require septic, we'll incorporate that. One of the big questions was why Plymouth? Eastern Propane already services 700 or so customers in the Plymouth area, and their closest facilities in Rochester, so they're driving an hour every time you guys, those of you who get serviced by Eastern Propane need that. So they want to have something that's closer that lets them better service you guys. Permitting, as I said, we have DOT driveway. That's pending. We did receive an RFMI earlier this week and have since responded and are just waiting further comment on that. Shoreland, again, pending. Their review period ends sometime in the early portion of next week, so we should have more information coming next week. There is the part of the IPAC, and that process requires looking for threatened and endangered species. There is the potential for wood turtle habitats, and all that means on our end is we have to incorporate some extra protections for them on our plans. Those are not represented on the plans you have tonight. We have to add those in. And then obviously, as we've discussed, we'll need to go back and get that special exception for the land use, and ultimately the fencing. The fence itself is going to be 6 feet tall. These facilities require barbed wire on top, and that barbed wire extension is going to put it over that 6 foot limit. And then the waiver we can discuss as well.
May I ask a staff question?
Yep.
So, this is going to be, the ZBA decision, it sounds like is going to be appealed. And we will potentially be weighing in on some questions and issues which might parallel the conversations that led to the ZBA decision. Do you have any guidance in dealing with that for legal reasons?
It's a good question. Ultimately, the decision on the special exception is fully within the zoning board's jurisdiction. So the planning board theoretically, is a fully separate review. You're reviewing it against the site plan review regulations specifically, and not the special exception criteria. And it's important to note the distinction and not, just sort of being aware that those 6 special exception criteria and conformity with those or not is fully the zoning board's issue to deal with. And then the site plan review requirements here are the planning board's sort of area. So it is important to keep that distinction clear. And then also the...
and we might come to a decision then, like about hours of operation or something, where it may not meet the ZBA requirements, but it might meet site plan requirements. And it's fine for those to be different, and the ZBA requirements will be resolved in the appeal process.
Correct. It's important to, it is a
I
good,
just wanted to
it
be
is a
clear
good,
about
it's a
all
really
this
good
because
note,
it's a-
because if the zoning board requires something as a condition of the land use, that is necessary to be complied with, even if the planning board doesn't feel it's an issue from a site plan perspective, which can happen, because again, they're two fundamentally different reviews. So it's also important, the planning board can't approve something that doesn't comply with zoning, so it would need to be, if the board decided at some point to approve this plan, it would need to be conditioned upon having that land use approved by the zoning board, or having that special exception be in place.
I just wanted to clarify that before we try
Very
to
good
into
note.
any, like,
100%, yep.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that the Chief Pierce asked for a cistern. Where on the site?
It's likely going to be a underground, like, concrete tank that gets put in the gravel area right adjacent to the pavement. So that's easily accessible as they come into the site, but out of the way from standard operations.
It'll be underground. All right.
With standpipe up so that they can actually connect and pump out of it.
Okay.
So I'm going to immediately jump into my area of expertise, which is landscape. And in our site plan review, we recommend and encourage native species. All of these are native species with the exception, I believe, of arborvitae. There are two species that are being used here, which generally speaking do not grow in this region. And they are the hackberry and the swamp white oak. They're very uncommon, and they only grow in like the Connecticut River Valley. And I'm saying that because it would be really great for all of the trees that are spent money on, and money is spent, really thrive here. And so recommending against those species.
Noted. I will work to find one that works.
Great.
May I ask a question?
Please.
Is there a well on site?
There is not a well on the site. There might be an old town well actually on 28.1. I'm not sure if that's still functional. I don't believe this 28 has an actual well on site anywhere.
So novice question, how do you fill the cistern with water?
They'll be required to like use a water truck to come fill it up whenever it's needed.
Okay.
It's a good question. I didn't know that
They'll
either.
be required to keep it stocked with water, and however they do that.
How's that monitored? Just like a visual?
I assume there's like a level gauge of some sort.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I can get more information. Like I said, I just got that request yesterday, so I haven't had.
Just curious, if there's no well, how does it get filled?
Yeah, because I was actually imagining as a dug well.
Each driver brings a bucket every time? River.
if I may add to that, we were also talking about bathroom facilities.
Right.
And depending on whether this board decides that a, like, Portistan sort of solution is acceptable or not, we might require a well for other reasons anyway to supply running
Water for washing
what I was
hands.
thinking.
Yeah.
If there was already a well plant on site.
I
All right,
don't
thank
think
you.
that would be acceptable as a water source.
For washing hands.
No, I mean, for firefighting,
Uh-huh.
because it would be dependent upon being powered for a pump.
You don't think a cistern would be
The
sufficient?
cistern would be fine
Okay.
for the fire prevention, but having a well
Ah.
would not be acceptable.
I just meant the
To
well to
fill
fill the
it.
cistern.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Got it.
Are there gonna be delivery trucks parked there overnight?
There will be like the standard bobtail delivery truck that you see driving around that would come deliver to any residential house. There won't be any like full interstate trailers or anything like
Right,
that.
no like tankers, but like the delivery trucks.
Yes, there will be 3
They-
trucks stationed here.
How many?
3.
3, okay. All right, so it's like, however many spots you had.
We
pretty much those
provided
would be-
7 out of their request. They requested 7, I assume, so that as they have visitors and stuff and their personal vehicles that they drive in to the site with have spot to
You got
park.
3 trucks, 3 personal vehicles, and then handicap spot. Okay.
I have a question, and it's partially due to my ignorance about like what is allowed on our roads. You mentioned the largest truck that New Hampshire allows on its roads, and of course, not knowing what that is, my mind jumps to like the Saturn missile or something coming out. Like, what does that actually look like?
WB 67 is ultimately, that 67's speaking to the overall length of the truck plus the trailer, so I don't know the exact breakdown of what it is. I think it's a 54-inch trailer with a
Yeah, it
17.
is, something like that.
67 feet total.
Yeah. So it's The interstate trailer you see as you drive down 93
Oh,
or
okay.
something like that.
Oh,
It's
that's
not.
the pipeline trying truck.
Yeah, I was just like, this is the biggest one I'll have. Like, what could that be?
Have I seen it?
And you're basically saying that your layout will accommodate a truck like that.
Correct.
But it won't necessarily be using.
No, the going back to kind of sound, which this question came up and we discussed at the zoning board. At most, you'll see that truck in there twice a day, and that's in the winter when they have to refill those tanks more frequently because obviously when it's cold out, you use more propane. In spring, summer, fall, it's typically once a day or less. So they would never be there before 7 a.m. because of that travel time from Rochester. And those trucks would not be what I would consider typical at this facility. It would be at most 2 times a day to just refill those, the bulk tanks, and then they'd be out and back on 93 going to their next stop.
What would the traffic count be for typical trucks going through there?
So this facility is going to generate approximately 11 trips per day. In terms of the overall road, Tenny Mountain Highway I have the exact number, so I'll give you that rather than an estimated number. I brought everything from the zoning meeting so you can see how much fun that's been. If I can get all the clips off. But there's roughly 1,100 trucks per day that are the same size or larger than what Eastern Propane uses. Obviously not larger than the WB67, but larger than their standard delivery truck.
And I guess for traffic count, I personally wasn't really too concerned about Tenny Mountain Highway, so much as just like site traffic.
Yeah, 11 trips per day is the estimate based on their standard level of delivery need for a facility like this.
There's retail in that little, not retail, I mean, there's a little stone pad, I believe it's indicated that it's
The storage.
retail tank storage.
Yeah, so it's there for them to go place them. They're not actually going to be selling those out of that.
So there's no like customer coming
No,
into
correct.
this at all? Okay, this is strictly,
In theory, it's all only Eastern Propane personnel, and those are there so that if somebody purchases one, they can deliver it from there rather than having to truck it from farther away.
got it, all right.
I like the concrete pad for retail tank storage because we have another bulk facility in town. And sometimes their tanks are just like strewed about the yard.
No, really?
You look at it every day.
Oh,
you
but
bloody
wood right
house.
across from there.
Yeah.
Can't miss it.
So I think having a nice organized place,
Yeah.
concrete, not gravel here and there.
It's a good touch.
Yeah.
What's odd, I find odd, and I don't know, but the tanks are actually just gonna sit on crushed stone and not like a.
They'll have like,
Pillars.
yeah, pillars that are like bellied. Those are going to stand about 2.5 feet to the belly of the tank. So those tanks, when they're fully erect, would be 11.5 feet off the ground. As you look at the grading plan, we're a little recessed into that current bank. So total overall height above current existing ground is going to be about 10 feet.
So the tanks actually sit on those bellies,
Yes.
which
And-
sit on the crushed stone.
correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it won't cross the street.
Okay, I'm going to invite other members of the public to speak now. So, if you'd like to speak about this application, please come to the podium and state your name and talk.
My name is John Nelson. I live at 815 Tenny Mountain Highway. I've gone through the process with the zoning board and I'm confused now of what's going on.
Okay.
But I've got some questions, maybe for this gentleman also. Propane, when it burns, what class of a fire is that? I think it's not, the class 1 is extinguishable by water. A class 2 or 3
I have to, yeah.
is required with foam or some other kind of chemicals to put that fire out if there should be a fire.
Okay, so Mr. Nelson, right?
Yes?
Okay, so the way this has to work is you have to ask us the question and then we can invite the applicant to
Okay,
answer.
okay.
Can we start with your confusion? You said you're confused about what's going
Yeah,
on
well,
right now?
we understand that we were not able to attend the zoning board meeting, but
Okay.
under the assumption that it did not pass.
Correct.
Oh, I thought that was the end of the discussion.
So they are going to appeal that special exception decision, and they have decided to go forward with the planning board element of it, which is where we're just looking at the site plans that they provided and deciding, do the site plans as provided fulfill the requirements by our site plan regulations. And then the zoning board will make the decision about whether that special exception is going to be granted. So even if we, as the planning board, said this application is complete, it fulfills our requirements, we approve of it, will always be conditional approval upon whether or not the ZBA gives that special exception or not.
Okay, so what I talk about tonight would probably not pertain to that unless it pertained to the design and the
Correct.
layout of it.
Correct. But if you want to ask your questions now, it's a perfectly fine time to do
Well,
that.
I would ask that question. The other thing is, where we live right now, currently, most of the architecture in the area doesn't fit an industrial design that would be across the street from the house
Yeah.
alongside the river.
Yeah.
The other thing with the river is that banking over there is mostly clay. If you go to the other side of the river and look into the bank, it is all clay.
Yep.
And every year, it erodes a little bit more depending on the rainfall. Bob Estes, who lives directly across the street, his land has eroded considerably. Now, we've been there almost 50 years, so it has eroded some. And I know our house sits on clay, and mostly in that whole valley is clay. In fact, at one time, I'm going to say in the 1800s, up on Yetton Road, there was a brick factory up there that used the clay up there. And if you look at the bridge over the brook on Yetton Road, you can still see some of the bricks in the water. And that comes from our neighbor, Mrs. Fletcher, who used to live, next door to us, because I had questioned her about that a long time ago. So you get a lot of vibration in that ground when you've got heavy equipment. And in fact, when they built the strip mall next to us, our house is old, it has a stone foundation. It cracked some of the sheetrock in the house. But
Is it a noise? Are you worried about noise?
well,
You're worried
the other
about
thing was
impacts?
is you're going to be using PT. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand that using PTO pumps off these big trucks to pump the propane into the tanks. And my experience, PTO pumping makes a lot of noise.
Okay.
And I worked construction, I worked on PTOs and heavy equipment when I was in the Navy years ago, and they make a lot of noise unless, I'm assuming they still do, even on the dump trucks when they lift the bodies up.
Okay, so we have two questions for the applicant. You're worried about potential fire. You want to know about the class of the fire, of a propane fire, and then also about PTO pumping.
Yeah, because of the noise. I guess
Noise.
they're going to have 2 trucks a day maybe come in to unload those big tanker trucks.
Okay.
Decibel levels and.
Decibel levels and stuff.
Yeah.
Would you like to comment on those questions?
I can answer on the sound.
If you let him switch, yeah. Thank you.
So I don't know off the top of my head what classifier it is, but as I've mentioned, Chief Pierce has said he has no concerns with this, so
Okay.
he's comfortable with fighting any fire that may, in the event of something out of the ordinary. There's a lot of safety measures in check to prevent fires at these facilities. He's comfortable with his ability and his team's ability to take care of that. As for noise, PTO pumps, the ones that are included in the tankers, run at about 80 to 90 decibels. This is equivalent to your standard gas-powered lawnmower, gas-powered leaf blower, common landscaping yard cleanup tools that would be in the area anyways for the residential homes. That's on the big truck. The smaller trucks do also use PTO, but those are quieter. What I've been told by Eastern Propane's regional manager for here is those are about 30 decibels. So that's, all things considered, relatively not noticeable once you get more than 50 feet away from that facility, which any abutter would be more than 50 feet away from that facility.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, originally, when we brought this up to the zoning board also, we were very concerned with the decrease in our property values.
Okay.
Having an industrial plant right next to your residence.
Okay.
And I think there was more than one family that expressed that concern. And also the safety of the trucks. And there's also 3 schools within a close distance. There's a daycare center right in the mall beside our house. There's Little Antlers, And I understand that the Mountain Charter School has got the next property up past Little Antlers, and they have the Mountain Charter School down near the traffic circle.
I encourage you to bring these comments to the next ZBA hearing on this, because those are the types of comments that they would like to hear.
We submitted some of those letters to them about some of those concerns, along with some of the other people. But,
Okay.
so it would be up to the zoning board next, again.
It will.
Okay, thank you.
Clarify something?
Please do.
And just to clarify something, because I sort of understand the surprise where you attended, or you were involved with the ZBA process, and they produced the denial for the request, and now the public is seeing it in front of the planning board. And I can understand the confusion where the public's like, holy cow, what is happening? I thought this got denied. Why is it still being put in front of the planning board?
Right.
So like Molly had said, we're on our track, and they have, and please jump in here, Joseph, if I misspeak. So when a zoning board denies a request, it's their state right, the applicant's right to appeal that to the state. So they have chosen, to my understanding, that they are appealing that to the state, and then I don't know how it works from there, but so that's still being looked at. But I just wanted to clarify that, because I completely understand where everyone's like, hey, this was denied at the ZBA, why is it still being talked about? So that denial is what's getting appealed, and who handles that?
Yeah, would you be willing to explain next steps?
Delve into
I'll
that.
give some.
Either words, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance here, and we haven't. I will just say the town has not received anything, so I don't want to speculate on what any formal appeal or motion that may arrive in the future would be, or the merits of it, or anything like that. But the general process under RSA 677 is that the applicant has the right, after a zoning board decision and other interested parties, as prescribed by RSA, to ask the zoning board to reconsider their decision by filing a motion for a rehearing. And then the zoning board would be able to weigh that motion and decide whether or not to grant a rehearing. And then from there, the board could grant a rehearing and hold another hearing, make another decision, or could choose not to. Then there's other possible appeal pathways, such as to the state. So there's a lot of variables, and again,
We don't want to speculate.
We don't have anything in front of us today that I can really comment on. All we have is it was denied, and then by the zoning board, and at this time there has been no other formal motion, application, appeal that's been brought to our attention for the zoning board. So
And it sounds like there will be an appeal,
It does.
but we don't know if to the zoning board or to an appeals board at state level, and
I wouldn't want to speculate too much on what may or may not be coming. All we have formally, in front of us is the ZBA did deny. That there's generally 30 days to ask a board to reconsider a decision. And I would urge folks to consult, state RSA, specifically RSA 677, and get some, information about kind of how the state law prescribes, courses of action for folks who have, involved in ZBA decisions. But there's a lot of variables there, and again, it's not something that I really have an answer for at this time.
I think that's perfect. That's all
That
I
is
was
perfect,
looking for.
yeah.
Okay.
The applicant had told us they're appealing it, so that's where I came off on and said that. But that's a little bit of clarification for
Okay,
you. That
okay.
why is it being talked about here tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Two separate paths.
and if I can clarify a little further, some of your concerns can be addressed by the planning board. Some of your concerns are very much kind of ZBA special exception concerns, and really go to the heart of why this type of use is a special exception.
Yeah.
Because so some of those concerns you have, depending on context, can go different ways, and this is why it goes before the zoning board.
Okay, because we did send a letter to the planning board about this. And we sent one also to the zoning board. It was, my wife dropped it off.
Yeah.
Up here, so, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have that letter?
I'm not sure. I can screen share it with you if you'd like.
Okay.
From my recollection, it was the same letter submitted to the zoning board.
Okay.
Zoning board received a number of letters.
Yep. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak on this application here? Okay. Okay, so a few other considerations from our staff memo, questions about environmental impact reviews. Let's see if I can find my memo. Okay, so actually I'm going to go back. We have a waiver about snow storage that has been written. It says that the proposed site does not provide the required amount of snow storage area. The site impacts have been minimized to limit disturbances to hydrology and the surrounding area, which does not allow for adequate snow storage space to be provided. The applicant will ensure that all excess snow is removed from the facility as needed and disposed of appropriately. My feeling is that I think it's great that they are trying to minimize and limit disturbances in hydrology, and so if they are willing to make sure that snow is removed, as I assume they would want it to be so they can go about their business, then I prefer less of the site to be disturbed.
So is the snow storage area we see just doesn't meet the space required? Like the square footage or something?
Do we actually have a square footage requirement for that kind of thing? We do. Yeah, okay.
So maybe it just doesn't.
Yep, so the snow storage requirement in the site plan review regulations is, in general, an area equal to 20% of the parking aisle and driveway areas should be designated for on-site snow storage. And I'm not sure if they say in the letter what percentage it is, but my understanding is it's just a lower percentage of the area that's proposed. And in addition, if there is any additional snow, they're proposing to haul it off-site.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
And I also believe that the
I see.
required versus proposed square footage is in the staff report as well, though I cannot currently remember what it is exactly.
I do recall seeing that somewhere.
It is on the plans. Page 1 and 2 has the outline required and how much is there.
Yep, there it is. So proposed required snow storage area is 5,525 square feet, so 5,525 square feet. And then the proposed snow storage area is 2,861 square feet.
I just had to scroll to the left of the plan. I zoomed in too far.
Is this in background and notes, or is this in?
This is on the plan C1-C1.22.
Okay, great.
I mean, I guess the only thing
I see.
to consider there is that as a site plan, this is also transferable to new ownership. And you or your applicant might agree to haul it. Would another owner agree to haul it? And would that be a kind of ongoing condition for the site that it would be hauled off if we agree to the lower number? Or, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying for the board, I think we need to consider that this is not necessarily tied to one applicant.
Yeah.
And if one applicant is agreeing to haul it off, that does not mean that any future users will also be hauling it off, unless we make that a condition.
And then how does it get recorded? And
Well, it's more about how does it get actually enforced.
yeah.
Recording it's the easy part.
Okay.
I mean, the way that it could be enforced would be that if when a certificate of use and occupancy is issued, that it is a condition. Sometimes those will contain conditions such as adherence to planning board requirements or other things. So, and then, so if if we made a condition, and then if it was made part of the condition of the use and occupancy certificate, then that could potentially be revoked if they did not comply. So that would be a mechanism for enforcement.
If we found out.
Correct.
So I'm wondering if, it sounds like we need more, there's agreement on both sides perhaps, that more information is gonna be necessary.
Yep.
And I'm wondering at this point in the hearing, if it would be beneficial for us on our side to start thinking about specifics that we can give in terms of what we are looking for, just so we have clarity.
Yep. I think a building elevation would be great. That is true to what is intended to be built.
Cistern location.
Cistern location.
Noted on the plan.
The changes to the species that I already mentioned of the plants. We need to discuss this sewage question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm uncomfortable with the idea of like a permanent, basically a permanent temporary facility. And, I mean, at least as I understand it, I mean, I'm not sure that's technically how we classify that or not, but if we want permanent, a permanent bathroom there,
Yeah.
we should have a permanent bathroom there,
Yeah.
as opposed to, yeah.
All right, someone else's.
I mean, that's,
That truck drivers using Irvings and stuff like that?
I mean, I think that's what we require in most of our site plans, to meet that
It would
requirement.
make more sense.
But it's not gonna be a permanent use facility.
Except it's always
You're
gonna be
gonna
there.
have drivers going in there all day, trucks going in there all day, you know, and what are they gonna go down to this quick check, just clean, I mean, they can, I guess, you know, you can put.
I'm sure that if
It's pretty much up to wherever they wanna build.
speculating, I'm sure that people who are delivering all day are using whatever facilities they can access.
Yeah.
I can see how this being somewhat of a home base, having a bathroom at your home base makes a lot of sense.
Even like the trucks are parked overnight, and that's
Yeah.
where they start their day and end their day.
Yes. Yeah.
And it'll provide you an easier source. I mean, both a bathroom would require a well, and that would also provide you a way of filling your cistern, although I guess you wouldn't have to do that very often, if you tanked it in, but,
Yeah.
The only thing I can say is the spots are gonna be at, sort of too bad there has to be one to live there, you know, I mean, all places, really, like, it just, I don't know, that's my thought. I mean, I live across
exception.
from one right now, and it's like, you know, it doesn't bother me, I get trucks in there all night, fueling up, all night, you know, but that's not gonna be the situation here, where you're just gonna have your trucks going in and out of there. So I know what it's like, it just sort of seems like an odd place to put that thing.
Yeah.
You know, you got a strip down there with, maybe, I don't know, it just seems sort of
I
odd.
think part of the reason for our zoning requirements and our site plan requirements are to provide for some kind of like, orderly design process
Yep.
and not necessarily having like a couple of like temporary bathrooms hanging around the middle of a site. And I think that's part of why we have some of these requirements, is to protect the character of the town. I think some of that's in the zoning, in our process, on our side of the review process, and not just the zoning board side.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I would prefer to see, like, if you're gonna have not just a temporary bathroom, but like a permanent bathroom on site, that it actually be a proper bathroom and not a like porta-sand hanging out on a
The
mound
highway
somewhere.
facing
Yeah.
roadside. I agree. I feel that sentiment.
What were you saying, Todd?
No, I was saying, I have a different question. I was just, if they're required to have barbed wire around the whole thing, but there's no gate, I guess, is that common?
I was gonna ask that too, because I think of like Dead River's facility, they have like security gates that close.
Isn't there a gate listed on the plan?
Is there?
There should be a call out for a gate. There will be gates. Those gates in this facility will be locked at any time it's not manned as well to prevent any unauthorized use.
Oh yeah, okay,
Sometimes
there
it's
it
just
is.
finding it on the plan is.
I know I read it somewhere.
We need
Yeah,
help
no,
seeing
you're right there. Are those swing gates or like
I think it's more like
looks like we have, it looks like it might be on the landscaping plan. I don't know if it's called out, but I can see it drawn most clearly on the landscaping plan.
1.22 has a call out. Hangs right above the parking, like in the parking spaces.
Yep.
So is there enough room to get a tanker in there? Pull up to the gates, park the tanker, and have that tanker fully off the road?
Should be.
Okay.
Where that road is 40 feet wide, so you are about 80 feet.
Maybe a little more. And it's, okay.
Obviously, that'll be a conversation with DOT as well.
Oh, yeah, true.
Actually, I'm also kind of curious. I'm still on the whole like bathroom issue.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean
And
That's fine.
Todd and I hijacked that.
so besides the issues I'm raising about it was raising about it, let's just hypothetically say that this board decided that we don't need like a properly plumbed bathroom.
Yeah.
Like we also have, like thinking about the intent of our regulations and sticking to that intent of our regulations. We ask for screening around the dumpster, for example, and part of that is to prevent like animals. But another part of that is also to, is a kind of visual one in our
Yep.
regulations.
Yep.
And I'm thinking about the sort of facility we're talking about here as equivalent in some ways to a dumpster. And are we even talking about screening it, much less asking for something that's properly plumbed?
I think there's probably an argument to be made that the landscaping is doing a certain amount of screening.
But I mean, ultimately, I think it's, for me, at least, it's a non-issue almost, because I'd prefer it just to be a properly plumbed bathroom.
Yeah. Depending on what, if they decide to replace the hackberries with something of a similar size tree, that they're proposing large trees. I mean, it'll be many years. But
So I guess, are we asking for something specific here in terms of this issue?
in terms of the bathroom issue or
Yeah.
the screening issue? Okay. I
And I've said a lot already, so I'm just gonna
yeah.
bow out.
I'm gonna, yeah, go ahead, Tom.
A couple comments. One is I think that if we go with a porta potty, I think it's not unreasonable to have some type of screening around it.
Okay.
Say a fence. But I also, I believe either DES or the Health and Human Services have some type of regulation regarding sanitation facilities for workplaces. And so I think it might be good to see what their requirements are to see if this falls under that. And that may answer the question for us, because they may have a carve-out where they don't require it, in which case we still can require it at us end.
Yeah.
But, or also it might be that they simply do require it, which
Yeah.
it means it's no longer a decision for us to make.
Right.
But either way, I think it would be nice to see what their stand is on it as guidance to help us in making the decision.
Do you know of anything?
I don't know that information offhand, but we can
Looking at their
research.
plans, you think, as well as they've done these, I would think they would have looked at that and seeing if that would.
In terms of,
They would have covered that, they would have said, yes, we have to have a bathroom in this stuff. I just said, I would think.
it would be, I think Tom's suggestion is a good one. If there's anything that kind of supersedes our decisions about workplace bathrooms, it would be nice to know.
We can try to research that and get some information if
Would
the
be
board
really
wants for a
helpful.
continuance. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay, so what is the mood of the board at the moment? Are we, any further immediate discussions? I mean, I have written down here, environmental impact, question mark, review by engineer, lighting hours, fence specification drawings. So those are other kinds of, but I don't have specific recommendations. They're just things that,
That's a good question. So if we want engineering review, we should ask tonight
okay,
for timeline reasons.
yes.
Um,
What's the mood on the board about engineering review by town engineer or
You know,
not?
considering what's being stored
Mm-hmm.
and the size of the whole facility, I would say engineering review sounds reasonable.
I would agree.
I concur.
Okay. So we need to ask the applicant to put funds in escrow. Is there anyone who's strongly opposed to engineering review? Do we want to make a vote or anything?
Well, I make a motion, we require engineering review
I'll
for
second
this
that.
application.
Okay, there is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed and abstain. So, we will require third-party engineering review. Please execute an escrow agreement with our town, providing adequate funds to cover this. Thank you. All right, so that's decision made. The question I have about lighting hours, fence specs, I think could wait for continuance. Are there any other specific recommendations? I mean, the bathroom question, if we're waiting to get more information, it puts us in a bit of a time crunch potentially.
It does. I wonder how flexible the applicant is in terms of the 65 days. I imagine it's going to be a little bit of time anyway for an appeal.
Yeah, and I'm not super familiar with the appeal process either, but my understanding of it is we have 30 days to file the appeal or motion for rehearing. Then there's 30 days that the board gets to consider, and then if, depending on their result, obviously that can keep the timeline going.
So there are
I
two
think
timelines.
So we have a
they're open to
65-day
time.
timeline to make a decision on the application,
Yep.
unless we mutually agree that.
I think the applicant my client would be acceptable to extending that as needed if we
Okay.
get to that point.
Okay. All right. I think we're gonna do a continuance on this. All right. I'm starting.
Motion to continue.
Yes, I am.
What's the date of the next meeting?
It is June 18th.
Well, I make a motion to continue this hearing to June 18th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to continue this public hearing to June 18th. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And abstentions. All right, so this public hearing has been continued to June 18th. We will see you then.
Sweet. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Excellent work, everybody. 9:06 p.m. No, I mean, wow. Item number 7, informational and pre-application reviews. Anyone? In just a moment, you absolutely can. 8, other business from members of the board and planning staff.
What happened to the driving range they were gonna put down there?
Huh?
What happened to the driving range they were supposed to put down there?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's what I was told at one time. Is everybody cool?
Number 9, public comments.
Yes, I have a question. Will we continue to get letters when this comes before you people or the zoning board again?
A good question. In terms of the continuance of the public hearing, no. So you're here and you know right now we are continuing this public hearing at the June business meeting, which is the 18th of June.
Okay, so you're not having one, don't you have one twice a month?
We do. The first meeting is our work meeting where we talk about legislation, et cetera. And then the second one, which is the third Thursday, is our business meeting where we go over applications like this.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So why couldn't like an applicant or like an interested party file like as an intervener and just get alerted to the fact that their, interest is, there's a certain timeline going on? Is there such a thing as an intervener in?
I have no idea.
With part of the problem is that the notification falls on the applicant to pay, and if they had to continue to re-notify for every meeting, that might be considered a hardship for the applicant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking more like, a person that's interested in, the next thing for their specific item.
Yeah.
They would file as an intervener.
I get that.
There's no procedure that exists for that currently. We do have, for a continued public hearing, there's no new public notice sent out as far as abutter notices.
They're assumed to be here, and the notice is us telling them we're continuing it to this next meeting.
Yeah.
And then we do, it goes on the agenda for that meeting and things like that. I mean, if there is a person who reaches out about it, we always, let
Sure.
them know anytime if we know when it's
Sure.
going to be on a
Yep.
future meeting. But we don't have there doesn't exist any formal procedure right now where someone could subscribe somehow to other information, though certainly on the town's website, we always
You can
post the
check the
notice of
agenda,
the, and the notice of public hearings. We do try whenever we get, theoretically, you don't need to renotice a continuance, but we do at least try to include them in notices for the upcoming meeting. Usually we have a notice with 3 or 4 things on it. We try to put continuances on there on the website, but, it's an interesting question.
Okay. Item number 10 is adjournment, so.
I move.
Item number 10.
So moved by Bill,
Seconded.
seconded by Todd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
2 abstentions.
representing Phil, I gotta do it.
Keeping with it. I like it.
Ooh, that was a big one. Thank you, everyone.
Like, I'm not going to let Phil down.
Good job, Mel.
Thank you.
Gotta do it.
Excellent. Molly?